Okay. Hi everybody. It's been a while and I'm gonna do this hopefully for the last time. My audio please work for me. Um I decided to do the read tutorials again because some things have changed, little or big. It's always nice to have a refresher. I know this is gonna be a 20-minute video, but it's because I take about 5 minutes per tab. So just bear with me. I will put the timestamps in the description box. I've I've noticed a lot of people have made tutorials on the Quadstick as well, and that is fantastic. They may be able to explain better than me, or even things I missed because there's so much here. But if you first get the Quadstick, it's very important to download the Quadstick Manager program. If you do not have access to the Quadstick Manager program, like you own a Mac, I will make another video explaining how to work around it. But this video would still be useful to them because they'll know what they want to adjust. So this is where all the sensitivity of the Quadstick comes from. Um, Once you find your sensitivity and you adjust it to your liking, I guess you don't have to use this ever again unless you want to change profiles constantly. But I'm only going to be covering the Quadstick Manager program. This is what it looks like when you first start off. The bottom left hand corner is your status box. It tells you what's going on, what you've been doing. It tells you your firmware, your Quadstick, and the Quadstick Manager, I believe. And it's just a neat little thing to look for. To download it, you go to thequadstick.com, go to the downloads section. All the links I'm saying are going to be in the description box below. And this is where you download the Quadstick Manager program right now, version 3.09, blah, 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 blah. And if you also need more help, because I ramble a lot and you just want to get a refresher, just go to the documentation section of the Quadstick Manager Quadstick.com, and a user manual. Online viewer is great. Once you click on it, it basically gives you the entire manual, and it splits it up in sections and categories, and it makes things so much easier. And even when people say, "How do I connect to Nintendo or PlayStation?" and I'm trying to help them, um, you can search for it. You click on Nintendo. You type in Nintendo, click search, and since it's a keyword Nintendo, it will give you everything that has Nintendo related word in it. And here it is, how to connect to Nintendo. So it's a great thing to use. And always go back to the main menu. It is fantastic. So go ahead and use it. It's a good refresher. Now moving on, let me move my face downwards. There we go. Okay, now let's start off with the joystick. Is one of the most important ones because this is where all the sensitivity comes from. Um, the best part about it with this new Quadstick Manager program is that if you use your mouse and you highlight over certain things, it kind of gives you the cliff notes of what it does. So as you can tell, this involves the joystick left, right, up, down, and the sensitivity around it. So there's 4 directions. So as you can guess, this one's for the left one, this one's for up, right, and left. But then you're wondering what these numbers are for. So if you look at the ends of each of the sliders, 50 is the maximum and 10 is the minimum. So, and then the middle number is currently what the sensitivity is set on. So right now my sensitivity all the way around is 13. That is my sweet spot because I am using the Quadstick FPS that has a square, more of a square build. There's older models with the circle ones, or even the original ones with the spring. So they may have different sensitivity options. You just gotta find the right one for you. Um, the lower the number, the more sensitive it is. The higher the number, the less sensitive it is. You on the right hand corner, link sliders. You can actually move them all together if you want to, and if you don't, you can set it to horizontal. And if you don't want that, if you also want to adjust the up and down, you can set it to vertical, and it'll just move the vertical. But if you want certain ones to be on their own, you can adjust ones. You can adjust them individually, one by one. And let's say you messed up like I did. I don't memorize my numbers. I just click on the bottom right hand corner, reload Quadstick, and it will reload my settings as if I never saved it. I will teach you how to save it soon. And now that you know how to adjust the sensitivities on the movements, the dead zone in the middle is what the middle slider is. It's a center dead zone. Basically, how much force you have to give the quad stick before it realizes it that you're trying to do something. My sweet spot for this square FPS is 3. Some people even put it as low to 0. I will go over something about 0 later, but usually people hover between 3, 2, and 1 and 0. Trial and error, just give it a try. But that's basically it. And a lot of things revolve around the joystick sensitivity. Just like the next tab, Dpad. To be honest, I have never touched this tab. There was no need to. It functioned perfectly and I didn't need to because it was functioning according to my joystick. I really hope I'm right about this one, but I have had zero trouble. So I never bothered changing the sensitivity of how the D-pad functions work on my D-pad commands. So I'm not going to cover this one today. You can look up that more in the Quadstick manual, like the link. I'll post it in the description box. But I am going to move on to sip and puffs. It's really important because everybody doesn't breathe the same, especially in your mic condition. Some people have harder time breathing, or some people, just want more sensitivity. So the first column is the overall max pressure. So the pressure is between 10 to 100%. I think by default it's at 70%. So I only have to give 70% pressure for it to equal 100. Yeah, I know, math, right? So if you, I don't really find too much of a need to move this one as much as the rest. But if you want to change the maximum 100% signal, how much pressure you have to give before it's 100%, you can always move this down. I like to hover between 70. Sometimes I even go to 99. But that's just you, and that's just me. The really important ones are the high pressure threshold and low pressure threshold, second and third column. The second column deals with how much pressure do you have to give before the Quadstick realizes you're trying to do a regular sip and puff. So a hard sip and puff. I put mine to 40, where I only give 40% pressure for it to realize I'm giving a hard puff and a hard sip. The second column does have to be higher than the third column, or else it won't function correctly. But what the third column does is the same thing as the second column, but it involves soft sips and soft puffs. I do recommend to have it lower than your second column because you want to trigger the soft sips and soft puffs with ease. So I'll have another video about what that means and stuff and how to trigger it manually. But you have hard commands and you have soft commands. And if you want to trigger the soft commands, you might have to have it lower so it doesn't accidentally trigger the hard ones. You want to distinguish them separately. So this is what I have it on. Now, soft sips also have a timer. They have a delay before they activate. They kind of whistle, indicating that it's about to trigger. And to edit it or to increase it or lower the timing on it, it is called low threshold delay. I think by default it's set to 1000, which is incredibly long. It's in milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds is equal to 1 second. I lowered mine to 250 milliseconds, so it's almost instant. It still has a little delay before activating, but it's perfect to where I'm in control and I'm comfortable with it. So this is where you will set it at. Long threshold delay involves this side tube right here. It's mainly used to switch profiles. So if you know how to manually switch profiles, it's the whole when you hold the side tube and your Quadstick starts flashing incredibly fast, that means it's ready for profile changes. A lot of people saying it takes way too long, and they're not wrong. It takes about 2 seconds for it to trigger. I actually changed mine to 1000. So that would mean I have to, if I change it to 1000, I technically have to sip the side tube for 1 whole second, and then it triggers a profile change, which is a lot better than 2 seconds. So if you're having trouble changing profiles by holding the side tube, my sweet spot was 1000. Take in consideration, you still use the side tube to change modes. So, give it some give us some leverage between changing modes and changing profiles. And when you're ready to save your settings, whether it be joystick or whatever you changed, to save your settings, you click on Save Preferences to Quadstick. You click it, and on the status bar on the bottom left hand corner, it would say Preferences Saved, OK. Give it about 10 seconds. It should reboot your Quadstick, and you should be up and running again. And it should save your settings. And like I said, you only need to do this if you're messing with settings, not with game files or voice files. Those are files, not settings. So the next thing to do is lip positioning. Same thing as before. This is all involving how much force you have to click the lip button, which is underneath your mouthpiece, till it triggers 100%. I used to have mine to 60. And then I realized, you know what, 40 is a good number. I don't really add that many buttons to the lip, just aiming, one button at a time. But I don't want to push my face up against the Quadstick too much. So the 100% is at 40%. So 40% pressure equals 100. And on the second column, the minimal, I set it as low as to 5%. I want it to trigger as fast and as efficient as possible. So this is the quickest it would activate. This is the maximum it would activate. And I enjoy these settings. Pretty straightforward, not too much there. The next one is Miscellaneous tab. MISC. Again, if your mouse speed is incredibly fast, this is where you adjust it. Just like the D-pad, the mouse speed kind of goes hand in hand with the joystick sensitivity. So if you got the perfect joystick settings, then I would recommend to change your mouse speed. By default, I believe it's set to 110, which is incredibly fast. It's too sensitive. It's so fidgety. I hated it when I got this. I don't know if it's changed now, but I did enjoy around 70 to 60 area where it's very responsive and very fast, but I can keep my eyes can follow it. It's not blurry, it's not all over the place, and it's not too sensitive. It's the perfect amount of sensitivity based on my joystick sensitivity. I hope that makes sense. Almost saved it by accident. Yeah, so mine's around 70 to 60. This is pretty straightforward on the mouse speed. The second one is the LED brightness. The Quadstick can be very bright, especially when you first get it. I lowered mine to 25, just so when I'm playing in the dark and my TV's on or monitor, it's not overpowering. The LED light can be overpowering because it's up to your face, especially if you wear glasses. So setting it to 25, I liked it because I want to know what my Quadstick is doing. But at the same time, I don't want the light to be too bright to where it's distracting. Same thing as the third column. It goes with speaker volume with the Quadstick. So the Quadstick by now, you should know it makes noise. It makes boinks and binks and all that stuff. I do recommend for new users to leave it on normal. Get used to the noises. Get familiar with it. Know what it means. You just get acquainted with it. Once you get used to it, it gets incredibly annoying. Sad to say, it gets very annoying. But I already know what I'm doing, and I know what the noises it makes. So I lowered mine all the way to number 4. All the way down here. I still like hearing it because it lets me know when I'm changing modes. It's still good to know. But it's not distracting at all. It is perfect. I can still know what's happening. Sometimes I change to the wrong mode. I instantly hear it and I change back. Or I delay latch something. So yes, it's a sweet spot right down here. The right side says top right, digital output 1 and 2. Not going to cover that. It's really not important at all. Bluetooth, very important. If that's your go-to, I don't use it myself. I will cover this in another video because it can be a little hard to set up. But this right here, other functions, is basically if you have a Cronus Max, you will enable that on. If you play PS4 and you constantly use it, then you want to check your boot in PS4 mode. If you want to change the curve the mouse, you can change to linear, mix, and parabola. You know, it lets you almost adjust everything here. Uh, Also note, you know, don't forget you can also highlight things by hovering over it, and it tells you a snippet of what it's going to do. So good to know. The next thing before I get to game files, firmware. This is where you keep your Quadstick up to date. You know, you don't have to do a lot. I rarely do. Right now, mine's on the current shipping firmware. I just updated it. You can update it to the test ones if you want to. These are not meant to break your Quadstick. They can just be buggy. So, you know, if you have no need to update it, don't update it. Um, but if you notice on 2233, I think that's what it says fix dead zone equal to 0. So let's say you use your joystick, right? Sensitivity, and you set the dead zone to 0 and you save it and it's not working right, then maybe you can try this firmware if you set it to 0 and you want it to work correctly. So, you know, it never hurts. All you gotta do is click it, click it and highlight it and download firmware to Quadstick. It takes about a minute to do. On the bottom left hand corner, it tells you if it's done or not. It should reboot your Quadstick and you're good to go. Once you update it, you can always go back. So if you don't like the firmware you picked, you can always pick another one. But usually the ones that says, well, the one that's currently shipping firmware should have no issues. And last but not least, let me go to game files. I'm not going to cover voice files because I don't really know a lot of people that use it. And it's a good option to have, but it's a lot of a delay. So it's not going to help you a lot with games that involves quick commands. Maybe like Hearthstone or card games it can help you with. But let me go to game files. The first column is what's in your Quadstick. These are all the profiles in my Quadstick to be pretty well in there. It's pretty nice. You can see what you want. You can click on one and remove it. The cool part about it, I just noticed today. Let me turn off my camera. For newcomers, they tend to always delete preferences and default. Do not, I believe, don't even try it. I don't even want you to test it. Do not delete preferences and do not delete default because preferences are your settings. The settings you've been working so hard to adjust. You do not want to delete those and you don't want to mess up your Quadstick. I'm not saying it will, but it can. Default configuration, I don't delete it myself, even to this day, because I like to make sure if a profile I make doesn't work and it's not functioning right, at least I can go to the first profile and know that it works as it should. But the cool part about this on Quadstick Manager program is that if you highlight default configuration and you try to remove it, and it says, "Are you sure you want to delete?" The bottom left hand corner does not let you. It is a failsafe because there's too many people that delete it by accident. So I'm really glad that was added into it, and I never knew about it. But if let's say you do want to download your own profiles, the second column would be your best bet. You can see many profiles, pick and choose one. Maybe you're inclined to try one out and see what it is about, like Doom. You can highlight it by clicking on it. Edit configuration spreadsheet. This is where you can actually see what it's all about. If you know how to read this, which I will cover in another video, this is where you can be like, all right, I see what it is. You can even use it as a template, but I will cover that in another video. But yeah, you know, you don't want to start from scratch. It's always best to copy one and then tweak it out later. Why? Because it looks fancy, it already has the colors, it already has stuff written in it. So it's always best to just copy one and work from there. And then if you really want to try it out, let's say, you know what, let's see how good this profile is. All you got to do is highlight it, click download to Quadstick, and when I click download, you'll notice on the bottom left hand corner, it downloaded. Oh, I guess I downloaded the MLB13. My bad. I guess I downloaded this one by accident. But yeah, it's pretty much straightforward. You just click it and download straight to Quadstick. If your Quadstick is connected. I don't want it, so I'm going to remove it. And the status bar on the bottom left hand corner tells me exactly what I'm doing. Now, the last thing for today is the user custom. The third column is basically your custom profiles. When you get the urge to make your own custom profiles, this is one way you can download them into your Quadstick. I will cover that in another video. But basically, once you've learned how to do it, you just click on it and download straight to Quadstick. It's pretty straightforward. So to recap, first column is your Quadstick profiles. Second column is the universal Quadstick factory profiles. And the third column is your own custom profiles. Like I said, I will cover these two later, but I'm not going to cover those here. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. I know it was long, but I covered each tab 5 minutes in a row. I mean, 5 minutes, 5 minutes intervals. And I will cover the Mac one of how to adjust your sensitivity in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.